The moonlight filtered through the sheer curtains of the luxurious villa, casting a soft glow over the sprawling living room. Everything was quiet, too quiet. You lay stretched on the couch, one hand resting on your growing belly and the other tapping on your phone screen. A big smile edged across your face as you scrolled through the picture gallery, going through the different pics clicked during your 7 months pregnancy. Ma'am, here's your pastry. She placed a tray on the coffee table, adorned with freshly baked strawberry pastries. You smiled and gently pushed off the couch to sit straight. Thank you, Myra. You smiled at her apologetically. It was the third time she baked the pastries for you to satiate your midnight pregnancy cravings. Your cravings were relentless and out of control, and tonight it was for strawberry pastries, the kind with the buttery, flaky crust filled with sweet cream and topped with ripe strawberries. The kitchen staff had tried. They had tried so hard, but no matter how many times they had baked the pastries, it just wasn't right. Its taste couldn't match the one on your tongue, the one you were craving so bad. You wanted those pastries fresh from Rosie's bakery, that little shop owned by an elderly woman who had taken you like a granddaughter was the only place that made pastries just right. You took the spoon and took a bite of the sweet, creamy dessert. Myra looked at you, waiting for your approval, but you lifted your gaze to her and slowly shook your head. This is good, but the taste is not how I want it, you mumbled, forcing a smile at her. You felt embarrassed for disregarding her efforts, but your insane cravings couldn't help it. Oh, no worries, I'll prepare new ones for you. She gave you a warm smile. You felt small under her gaze as how she was being nice despite you being annoying. No, no, don't bother. It's quite late. You should go to sleep. You must be tired, and on top of that, I was troubling you with my cravings. You gave her a cheeky smile, and she beamed back at you. Though your husband Park Jimin ruled over the dark realm, exuding a dark, intense aura, you were an affable person, sunshine amidst his darkness. The house helped the guards, the henchmen, everyone was fond of you. You are not troubling me, not at all. Sir hired me for this work, and I'll be called irresponsible if I don't take care of you how I asked to. You smiled and shook your head. It's all right. Go to sleep, Myra. I'm also tired. She hesitated, but you waved her off with a reassuring smile. She let out a soft sigh and walked towards the exit to go to the outhouse. This is torture, you muttered, rubbing your belly. The baby kicked as if in agreement. You sighed, staring longingly at the strawberry pastries. They looked tempting, but their taste was not up to your liking. How could you relax when the thought of those pastries was consuming your every waking moment? I want it now, you mumbled to yourself and glanced towards a massive oak door leading to the outside vault. Jimin, your husband and the most feared mafia boss in the city, was out dealing with business, a dangerous mission, as he had said before kissing you goodbye earlier. He had left strict orders: stay inside, no risk, and definitely no sneaking out. You smirked to yourself. He was always so overprotective. But did he really think you could just stay locked away for 9 whole months? Especially when you needed those perfect strawberry pastries? You knew Jimin wouldn't be thrilled if he found out, but he wasn't here right now, and you would be back before anyone noticed. Perfect. After a few moments of hesitation, you stood up, your determination overtaking any second thoughts. Grabbing your coat from the hallway closet, you whispered to yourself, Just a quick trip. I'll be back before he returns. With one last glance over your shoulder, you slipped out of the house, leaving your guards oblivious. With a determined sigh, you tiptoed past the security station outside the villa and made your way to Rosie's bakery. Your heart set on the pastries that would finally satisfy your cravings. The little bell above the door jingled as you pushed your way into Rosie's bakery, your favorite spot in the city. The cozy bakery glowed warmly as you stepped inside, the familiar scent of freshly baked goods wrapping around you like a comforting hug. Behind the counter, Rosie, the elderly owner of the bakery, looked up from her work, her eyes lighting up when she saw you. You grinned ear to ear, waving at her enthusiastically. "Wine, my dear, what are you doing out so late?" Rosie asked with a smile, wiping her flour-covered hands on her apron as she walked over to you. You grinned sheepishly. "I couldn't stop thinking about your strawberry pastries. I had to come and get some." Rosie chuckled warmly, her eyes twinkling as she escorted you to one of the tables. "Cravings, huh? That little one of yours already has a good taste." "I know, right? It feels like I'm dreaming about them at this point," you said, rubbing your belly affectionately. She beamed at you and made you sit on the chair comfortably. "The cravings are strong, huh? You have no idea. I swear if I don't get the pastries exactly right, the baby won't let me sleep." Rosie shook her head with amusement and went to the display case, pulling out a fresh tray of perfectly golden pastries. She placed several into a plate and packed some in a pink box. She walked over to the table and handed it to you. "There you go, sweetheart. Enjoy these and don't worry about paying tonight. You are a family." "Auntie, you are spoiling me," you said, touched by the older woman's kindness. As she handed over the plate, you practically dove in, devouring the first spoonful. "Oh my god, this is perfect," you moaned, your eyes closing in bliss. "You have saved me, Auntie. I'll name the baby after you if I have to." Rosie laughed. "Your husband might not appreciate this." You shrugged with a cheeky smile. "Jimin isn't the one growing a human right now. I get to make the rules." She chuckled as you winked at her. Rosie waved her hand dismissively. "Now go on, eat those before they disappear, and tell that handsome husband of yours to take better care of you." You giggled, already eager to savor the sweet sour dessert. "I will, thanks, Auntie." But as you took another bite, your phone buzzed loudly on the table. You glanced down and froze on your spot when you saw the name displaying on the screen. "Ryan, where are you?" Your heart skipped a beat, reading the text Jimin sent you. Oh no, how did he find out so fast? Before you could reply, another message came in. "You are 7 months pregnant and you snuck out? Are you serious right now?" You swallowed nervously and looked around, wondering how much trouble you were in. Just as you began typing back a casual, "It's fine, I'm safe," the door of the pastry shop swung open with a bang. There, standing in the doorway with his black leather jacket and an expression torn between worry and anger, was Jimin. His usually soft features were hard, his jaw clenched as his eyes scanned the room. Jimin strode in, looking as furious as you had ever seen him. His dark hair was slightly tousled from the wind, his jaw clenched in frustration. His leathery outfit contrasted with the cozy, casual atmosphere of the shop. Everyone in the room, including Rosie, went quiet. Jimin's gaze landed on you, sitting at the table with your half-finished pastry. He crossed the room in two strides, his voice a low growl. Wine. You looked up, blinking innocently. Hey darling, want some pastry? Jimin narrowed his eyes as you gave him a cheeky grin. Want some pastry? Jimin repeated, incredulous, throwing his head back in disbelief. Wine, I was in the middle of a negotiation with a rival family when I got a call saying my 7-month pregnant wife had vanished. Do you have any idea what that did to me? He snapped, not hiding the distaste about the stunt you had pulled. You scooped another spoonful, unbothered. I told the guards not to bother you. You shrugged your shoulders nonchalantly. Jimin's eyes narrowed as he took a seat across from you, running a hand through his hair in exasperation. You snuck out in the middle of the night for pastry. Are you out of your mind? You sighed, leaning back in your chair. Jimin, it's strawberry. You wouldn't understand. They couldn't get it right at home. I was desperate. The baby wouldn't let me sleep until I fed him these pastries. Jimin stared at you, a mix of anger and disbelief marring on his face. For a moment, he didn't say anything, his hands resting on the table, clenching and unclenching as if he were trying to decide whether to scold you or wrap you in his arms. Finally, he shook his head, the tension easing just a bit. You are unbelievable. You know that? You smiled knowing you had won. Come on, Jim, and sit with me. Have a bite. It's the best dessert in the city. You grinned, showing your teeth. For a second, Jimin's hard exterior cracked, and he let out a small resigned chuckle. He stood, walking over to your side of the table, pulling your chair closer to his. I don't want pastry, he muttered, taking your hand gently. I want you to stop giving me heart attacks. You leaned into his shoulder, your smile softening. I am sorry, I didn't mean to scare you, but I'm okay, and the baby's okay. See, you guided his hand to your belly, where the baby gave a little kick. Jimin's expression softened completely as he felt the movement. His fingers lingered there for a moment, as if grounding himself in the tiny, miraculous life you both were about to bring into the world. You are driving me crazy, you know that? Jimin whispered, pressing a kiss to your temple. You grin ear to ear. It's a part of my charm. Jimin sighed, standing and offering you his hand. Come on, let's get you home before I lose my mind completely. As you both left the pastry shop, hand in hand, you couldn't help but sneak out last spoonful on the way out. Next time, we'll just bring Rosie to the house. Jimin shook his head, opening the car door for you. Get in, we'll talk about this at home. The car was quiet except for the soft hum of the engine. Jimin was at the wheel, his eyes focused on the road, but the tension in his jaw was obvious. You glanced at him out of the corner of your eye, feeling a bit guilty for making him worry. Are you still mad at me? You asked, poking his arm. Your voice was small, almost a whisper, but he didn't reply. Instead, kept his gaze stuck on the road ahead. Jimin didn't look at you, but his lips were pressed in a thin line. I'm not mad, just. He paused, clearly trying to choose his words. Just a little frustrated. You know how worried I get when you do things like this. You pouted, shifting in your seat to face him. But Jimin, I'm fine. And the bakery is safe. Rosie even said you need to take better care of me. Jimin's eyes flickered towards you, his frustration softening just a little. I'm trying to take care of you, Ryan, but how am I supposed to do that when you sneak out at night? Your heart melted a little at his words. You knew he was just worried, but you couldn't help your craving. You decided it was time to pull out your secret weapon, the puppy eyes. You leaned closer to him, your big eyes wide and shimmering with innocence. Jimin. Jimin shifted on his seat, hearing your soft, affection laced voice. He knew what awaited him, but this time he wouldn't melt. He looked out of the window, avoiding her puppy dog face. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to worry you. I just really needed those pastries. Look, I even saved you one. You reached out for the box which Rosie had packed for you. Don't look. Jimin chanted in his mind, knowing one look at your face and he would melt immediately. He looked away as you poked his arm. Look at me, darling, you whispered, your voice soft, but Jimin could easily decipher your intentions. He looked at you from the corner of his eyes and found you smiling at him. You opened the box and held up a perfect strawberry pastry, hoping to coax him out of his irritation. See how delicious it is. Jimin sighed in defeat. He glanced at you and then at the pastry, his stern expression faltering. Ryan, he commenced, but his resolve was clearly weakening. You pouted again, your voice even softer. Please don't be mad. I'll make it up to you. I'll share my pastries with you. Jimin let out a long sigh, finally cracking a smile. He reached over, gently brushing a strand of hair behind your ear. You're impossible. You know that? You grinned victoriously. Holding his hand, you pressed a soft kiss on the back of it. But you love me. Jimin's smile widened as he took the pastry from your hand. Yeah, I do, and I love these too, apparently. As he tried to take a bite, you held his wrist. Jimin raised his eyebrows questioningly, though he knew your intentions. You smiled and batted your eyelashes innocently. What do you want, your highness? You laughed nervously, glancing at the pastry and then back at him. I really saved this one for you, but can I have a bite, please? You paused your lips, staring longingly at the pastry in his hand. Sure, my love. He fed you the entire pastry, the sweetness of the strawberries mantling in your mouth. You watched him with a satisfied smile, knowing you had successfully coaxed him out of his frustration. As you both drove back to the villa, Jimin reached for your hand, squeezing it gently. Just promise me you'll let me know next time. I'll get you anything you want. Just don't sneak out again, okay? You smile, leaning your head on his shoulder. Deal, but only if you promise to get me more pastries. Jimin chuckled, shaking his head. I'll make sure the kitchen staff takes note from your Rosie auntie so that you won't sneak out next time. I won't, but only if the pastries are perfect. You said with a wink, linking your arm with his. Jimin shook his head, knowing how stubborn his wife was.